Hey guys, welcome back once again. So in this today's class we are going to see one more multiple access protocol, that is what we called as the channelization protocol. As we discussed in the previous classes, when multiple stations are sharing its frame at the same time using the common channel, nothing but single communication channel, now what is happening means collision is occurring, right? So to avoid this collision we are using these kind of methods. Now the final one is the channelization protocol. To avoid the collision we are going to implement three methods. One is called as the frequency division multiple access. Multiple access means when multiple people are accessing the common channel, nothing but the multiple access. What is the meaning of frequency division? Division means with respect to the frequency, division here with respect to the time. So here division with respect to the codes, right? So FDMA means frequency division multiple access. TDMA means time division. So division will be done with respect to the time. So CDMA means code division multiple access method, where division will be done with respect to the code. So if you are making the division something either with respect to frequency or time with respect to codes, when we can stop the collision. That is what exactly we are going to study in channelization protocol. So before going to the channelization protocol, let me tell you a cutie story. Later on that story we will relate it to our FDMA, TDMA, CDMA techniques. Just for example, suppose for assumption purpose, let we consider that a father is there, that father having the four sons, right? So one second son, third son, as well as the fourth son. Now here the assumption is that this father is having the 4 acres of land, right? So he is having the 4 acres of the land. Now what he thought is that he want to distribute that 4 acres of land to the all the 4 sons. Now what is the first method? He is going to use something called as the FDMA. So what is the meaning of this one? The first idea is that now he is having the 4 acres of the land, so he is going to distribute the 4 acres of the land to his 4 sons. It means that each son will be getting the 1 acres of the land, right? So it means that the total area or 4 acres of the land is divided into the multiple pieces, that is nothing but the subslot or acres, 1 acres, which will be assigned to the particular users or the corresponding sons. This is one kind of methodology. So if you are implementing something like this is what we called as the frequency division multiple access, right? Now what is the meaning of the second idea of second methodology is that now father decided that instead of giving the 1 acre of land to the individual each and every son, he decided that I don't want to bifurcate this 4 acres of the land to the all 4 sons. Now what I'm going to do is that in a year we have the 12 months, so each, right? So in year we have the 12 months. Suppose for example 3 months, 3 months, 3 months, 3 months. It means that he is not going to distribute this 4 acre land is to the son, but the 4 acres related to the any particular son only for the particular amount of the period of the time. So what is the meaning of this one is, suppose for example here we will be having the person 1 or first son. If you want to use these 4 acres of the land, the entire 4 acres of the land he can able to use, but the condition is that he can able to use only for the 3 months durations. Here we are not going to divide the 4 acre in terms of the single acre, but we are using the 4 acres of the land for the single purpose, but here the division is done in terms of the time. So this first son can able to use this 4 acres land for 3 months only. After 3 months he need to hand over to the second month, so second son will be used for another 3 months. Let it be for example he is going to cultivate some fruits or something like this. Next after 3 months this will be allocated to the third son, so that he is going to make something, some kind of cultivation, it may be, right, some kind of gardening, whatever it may be, something like this, right? So once 3 months is completed it will be allotted to the 4 months, and it means that we are not going to divide these 4 acres of the land, but in the time slot one after another is using, so that no collision will be occur. So if you are going to divide in terms of the time slot, then it is called as the TDMA method, right? Now final one more idea of his father is that he don't want to divide also in terms of the 3 months time period, right? Now what is the one more idea is that he don't want to distribute the 4 acres in terms of the 1 acre, that is also he is not going to do. And one more parameter is that he is not going to divide in terms of the time. right? Now what the another idea of his father is that, the third idea something like that is that, so out of 4 acres, so whoever want how much of the land they can happily use. And for example, the first son want to use some out of 4 acres of the land, he want to use something 1.5 acre, he can use it. The second guy, third guy, fourth guy, they can use it. But now question is that if someone come to here, at the same time all 4 people are using the 4 acres of the land, right? But how to identify this part is related to the first one, second one, third son and fourth son? For example, let us assume that here we have something called as the unique identifications or pseudo random code operation. So what is the meaning of here code means, suppose for example first guy he is going to cultivate only fruit, something like this, just for example. The second guy is going to only cultivating the vegetable, the third guy is going to only cultivating the flowers, the fourth guy is going to cultivating some kind of the like gardening or whatever it may be. Now see that whenever the person comes to here, he can, some external person comes to here, he can able to access the particular particular person. Why means, if something is he is going to cultivate the fruit means it is belonging to the first son, if he is going to cultivate the flower means it is belonging to the third son, something like this. See, in time division multiple access, what we are doing, we are dividing into the 3 months, nothing but the time slot. But here we are not going to divide into the time slot. All the 4 sons can able to use the property at any time, all the 4 sons. But how we are going to differentiate means, how we are going to find out which portion is related to the particular son means, so here we have the assumption, the code 1 is that fruit, code 2 is that something vegetables, flower, some gardening or whatever it may be. So if it is belonging to flower means this is nothing but the third son. By using this kind of code only, we are going to make the communication without happening the collision operation, right? Now we will go to the actual topic so that you will understand what is the brief meaning of FDMA, TDMA as well as the CDMA techniques, right? Now see that channelization is a multiple access method, as we discussed, multiple channel sharing, in which the available bandwidth of the link is shared with respect to either in terms of the frequencies means dividing into the 4 acre into each 1 acres, or with respect to the time slots, nothing but the 3 month, or we are going to identify unique mechanism, nothing but the coding operation, right? So between different station, in this section we discuss 3 channelization protocol. One is called as the FDMA, TDMA and CDMA. So now what is the meaning of FDMA means, right? So see that the available bandwidth of the common channel, it means that we have only common channel or communication channel, but multiple devices are accessing this particular common channel. Now what we are going to do is that these channel will be having the bandwidth, right? If you don't understand what is the meaning of the bandwidth means, it is specifically refers to the capacity, remember that, the capacity at which the network can transmit the data, right? So in simple term you can remember that something like it is the capacity, something like this. Now what is the meaning of the frequency division multiple access method means, the available bandwidth is divided into the frequency bands, something 4 acres are divided into the single acre. Each station, each acre is allotted to the particular son. It means that one common bandwidth is going to divide into the sub bandwidth. So each bandwidth or each sub band is assigned to the particular user, so that whenever that user want to communicate by using that unique frequency band only, he can able to communicate with the another guy or another station. That is the meaning of the frequency division multiple accessing. Suppose see that this is, we have the frequency band that we are going to divide into the, here different colors represent is nothing but the, this one particular frequency band of the common channel is divided into the, it means that bandwidth we have divided into the multiple sub band, each sub band will be assigned to the particular station. So in my case, in this diagram we have the 4 stations, so that we are going to divide into the 4 sub bands. So each sub band will be assigned to the particular user. Now see that each frequency will be different frequency, right? So if you want to communicate, he can use this frequency so that he can able to happily communicate. At the same time this guy also want to communicate means he can also communicate, no collision will be occur. So this is what the idea of the FDMA technique. Now if you observe here, we have something called as the guard band operation. So what is the meaning of the guard band operation means, right? Now if you read this one, each band is reserved for the specific station, right, and belongings to the station to the station all the time. It means that one particular subband is assigned to the particular station, either he is using or not using, it is belonging to it only. Right. Now to prevent the station interference, the allotted bandits are separated from another by the small guard bands. Now what is the question of the guard band? If you observe here, in between this blue color, something, this yellow color, we have something called as the white color, right? So this band or frequency we are not going to use. Now question is that why we are not going to use this one, why it is called as the guard band means, if you don't understand this one, for example, suppose you have the radio, FM radio station. Now if you observe, let it be I'm in Hyderabad, right? So for example, if I observe here, one of the station radio which is something, it is playing at the 93.5. Next another station I will be having something 94.3 something, right, radio station. Now see that in between that we have the frequency 93.6, 93.7 up to 94.2, right? By why I'm not going to use this one, if we are using the nearby frequency, there is something called as the interference occur. So to avoid this interference, we are leaving some of the frequency in between, so that interference will not be occur from the one different frequency to the another different frequency. That is what we called as the guard band operation. Simple thing. Say to prevent the station interference, the allotted band are separated from another by small guard bands. That is the meaning of this one. Now what is the meaning of TDMA? 4 acres we are not going to divide, each person is going to use 3 months, right? Something like this. Now see that, so that's total, we have the common channel, right? So the bandwidth of the channel we are going to divide with respect to the time, division with respect to what, time, for the multiple stations, right? So each station is allotted a time slot during which it can send data. Each station transmitted data in is assigned time slot only. And for example, see that the thing which we are not going to divide this total available bandwidth of the channel, it is going to use as it is, unlike FDMA technique. But here we are going to divide into the time slot. And for example, if station 1 want to transmit, it has to transmit within time period only. If station 2 wants to transmit, it should transmit only within time period only, so that no collision will be occur. So that is the meaning. See that this is different time slot, different time slot. So here the total bandwidth of the channel will be divided into the multiple time slot. So why I have divided 4 time slot means I have only 4 station in this example. Now see that, so this is first slot, second slot, third slot, fourth slot. So 2, 3, 4 cannot used by the station 1, only at this particular time only it has to save, right? So in FDMA we are dividing into the multiple pieces that we are assigning. In TDMA we are not going to perform anything called as the dividing. Bandwidth of the channel is not going to dividing. The total bandwidth, the total capacity can be used by the every station, but not at a time, at the separate interval. In FDMA it is not something like this, guys. We are going to divide the channel capacity into the multiple porters, right? It means that we are not effectively using the total complete channel. But in TDMA we are utilizing the complete channel, but in different time slot, right? That you have to understand. This is one way, as we discussed in the example, right? So now the main problem with the TDMA lies in achieving the synchronization between the different stations. Now what is the meaning of this one? We'll try to understand in a minute. Each station need to know that beginning of its slot and the location of its slot, right? And the end of the location of, and what is the meaning of this one is, here the concept is something in terms of the time slot, right? Now if the station 3 want to send the data, only within the starting time period, ending time period only it has to send the data. And for example, let it be, it will start at 9 AM, it will be complete at the 10 AM. Now see that at exactly, for example, after 10 AM the station 4 can send the data, right? Now what will be happen means, if even though if you are time slot between 9 AM to 10 AM, now what will be happen means, if you read this statement you will understand. Each station need to know the beginning of its slot and the location of its slot. This may be difficult because of the propagation delays. And it means that when you are transmitting some information to the transmitter to the receiver, as we know that most probably we are using the wireless communication channel, so that propagation delays will be introduced, right? in the system if the stations are spread over a large area, and it means that if the distance is too much, then propagation delay will be more. So what will be happen if propagation delay will be more means, if you ask me that, so within the time period it cannot able to send the information. Maybe it may be take the some other times, this is actual time period, maybe it will take this much of time to send the information. Now what will be happen, one more station 4 is waiting, right? Now what will be happen, station 4 also will send its data at the starting of this time slot. Now what will be happen, this common area what we called as the interference will be occur, right? So to avoid this kind of interference, what we are going to do is we are going to use something called as the guard time. So what is the meaning of the guard time means, if you observe here we have some separation right in between one time slot to another time slot, right? That is what we called as the guard time. So to avoid this interference due to the propagation delays, that is what we called as the guard times here. Now we have the third case, that is we called as the code division multiple access, right? So in FDMA we are dividing the channel, in TDMA we are not dividing the channel, but at a time only one user can able to access. But in case of the CDMA we are not going to divide the channel, as well as we are not allowing only one person to send the information at a time. So this is something very interesting, right? So in CDMA what we are going to do, we are not going to divide the channel, and it means that the bandwidth of the channel will be still remain same only, right? So one channel carries all transmissions simultaneously. It means that the entire bandwidth, if station 1 want to send, 2 want to send, 3, 4 want to send also, they can happily send. But now question is that if all these people are sending using the common channel, do we have the collision, right? Now how these guys are implementing the code division multiple access techniques, how it is solved the collision, right? That is the point here, important thing, right? So first see that here some analogy is there. CDMA simply means communication with the different codes. It means that each station we have to going to assign to the some pseudo random code, right? That code we are going to generate, that code will be assigned to the each station. But if you want to see that what is the information means, that receiver, suppose for example S4, this station 4 want to know this information, this code, whatever the code we assign to this station 1, this S4 guy has to know, then only he can able to retrieve that information. If he don't know, he cannot able to, he cannot able. So that's why we are going to, for each station we are going to assign something called as the different code. By using that code we are not going to make the collision happening, right? So if you don't understand, see that. So CDMA simply means communication with different codes. For example, in large room with many people are there, 2 people can talk in English if nobody else understanding English. Another 2 people can talk in Chinese if they are the only one who understand the Chinese, and so on. In other words, in the common channel, the space of the room in this case can easily allow communication between the several couples, but in different language. Simple thing is, right? So anybody they want to communicate with another, they can communicate. But the question is that everybody will be having the some code. Here the code is in terms of the language. Their assumption is that only 2 people knows the English. It means that even multiple people are talking with another in multiple languages also. If I hear something, hi Ra, how are you? It means that I know that is Telugu language. Other people don't know what kind of language it is. So that other guy will having that code information, that Telugu, so he can reply, I am good ra, nem bagunnanu, something he can able to tell that. So this is what exactly we are going to do in the code division multiple access method. Right, now see that what we are going to do is that, right, so here we have the something in this assumption we have the 4 stations, right? So connected to the same channel, the same channel will be used by the 4 station. The data from the station 1 are the D1, from station 2 it is D2, from station 3 it is D3, D4, and it means that station 1 is going to send some data. That data here we are referring in terms of the D1. Station 2 data we have, right, that is D2, station 3 D3, station 4 D4, something we are going to refer here. Right, now along with that, if you identify, if suppose S4 want to identify this one, right, everyone is sending the information, right? How it is going to identify something? S4 only knows the language as the Telugu, this also knows the language as the Telugu, right? It means that if they can able to talk with code is Telugu, then only these people will understand, right? Something like this, you remember. Now what it means that, right? So for that, what we are going to do is the code is going to assign to the first station is C1, something, some code is we are going to assign. Remember that this code is unique code which cannot be given to the any other system, right? So the second code is something C2 along with the data, then C3, C4, something like this. Now if station 1 want to send the data, it cannot send data alone. Along with data it has to send the code also. It means that, see that it is using the same channel, right? So the code of the first station is that data is D1, the code is C1, right? It is also sending the data. At the same time the station 2 having the data, right? So D2 into code C2. So the D3, C3, D4, C4. Now question is that how I can able to find out. Suppose I want to hear the C1 data or data 1 from the station 1, how can I able to get, right? So for that only here we are using the unique codes, right? Now see that, for example, see here we have the, right? So this we need to, two properties are there that we need to understand. So what is the meaning of this one is, if we multiply each code by another we get 0. And what is the meaning of this one is, what is the code here? D1 into C1. Now what is the code of the station 2? Something C2, right? If you multiply this code with the C2, the result will be 0, something like this. If you multiply each code by itself we get the 4. What is the meaning of this one is, if D1 C1, right, if this is going to multiply again same code 1, you will be getting the answer is 4. Why? You might be asking why 4 means, here something we have the 4 station, that's why it is the 4. If you have the 5 station we will be getting the something 5. So if you want to understand the CDMA concept, we need to remember these two properties. The first one is, if we multiply each code by another, nothing but either C2, C3, C4, we will be getting the answer is 0. If you multiply each code by itself, C1 by C1, C2 by C2, C3 by C3, C4 by C4, we will get the answer is the 4. Why? Because the 4 number of station, nothing but we will be getting the 4 C1, something like this. Now see that, for example, now question is that the common channel is used by what? Right, all the stations, right? Now for example, that is this station 4 want to listen the or hear the station 1 data. Now what it will do is, this is entire information we have, right? D2, C2, D3, C3, that is going to use by the same common medium, right? Now what we are going to do is that, I know this code, right? I don't know, let it be this code, I know this code. If I use this code, I can able to talk with this guy with Telugu, right? What is that code here we have given? C1. Now it is going to multiply with the C1. And what will be happen means, D1 C1 C1 plus D2 C2 C1 plus D3 C3 C1 plus D4 C4 C1. Now as we discuss, what is the first property? If we multiply each code by another, the answer is 0. And see that if multiply one different code with the another different code, answer is 0. Different code, answer is 0. Different code, answer is 0. Right? Now see that if you are multiplying the each code by itself, we will be getting the answer is 4. And if you are multiplying one code by another, we will be getting the answer is 0, nothing but the 4 D1. Right? So now what finally we required only D1 data from the station 1, right? Now what is the answer we got? 4 D1, right? Now how many stations we have? 1, 2, 3, 4. Now what we have to do is, we need to divide it by the number of stations, so that finally we will be getting the data of the D1 at the station 4. Right? So this is how, even though we are sending multiple stations at a time, using the single common channel, effectively we can transmit the information without occurring the collision. Right? Now one more term you have to understand is that, for example, we can able to send, either I can able to send the binary information 0 or 1. Even if I don't want to send the information either 0 or 1, means I need to keep quiet, right? So now how in real time it is going to do is that, if they attached something code is -1, it is nothing but it is going to send the bit 0. If it is +1 means the data bit value is nothing but the 1. If it is silence means the value it is going to be inserted is the 0. Right? So if you want to more information how it will be going to done in real time, so please refer the material so that you will understand. So these are the basic 3 methods which we need to explain when you are going to write in the examination point of view. Right? I hope you understand. Thank you very much, guys.